welcome to the 62nd episode of the Friday Nightmares podcast. Today, we will be talking about Norwegian horror and our trip around the world, the cheapest trip around the world that you can possibly get right now.
I mean,
It's
almost as
with
cheap as
Scott and
me.
I.
Eh?
Almost as cheap as Scott, but Scott actually he pays you to be with him.
True.
So it's a little cheaper.
I
But
pay
I
you to
am
pay attention to me.
but I am one half of your hosting team, Heather Powell, coming to you today from Waterdown, Ontario, Canada. And the thirsty bitch I have over here is
Mr. Smokeshow Crawford, coming to you from the town of Swartz Creek in the county of Genesee, in the state of Michigan, in the United States of America, in the North American continent, in the Western Hemisphere, on the planet Earth, in the Milky Way galaxy. I'm fully vaxxed, boosted, and waxed, and ready to climax. And if you can, please get me wet. Feed me after midnight. I am the man with the glorious beard, because yes, it's starting to come back in, also known as Scotthausen.
Oh man, did you watch AEW at all and see that Danhausen challenged Ricky, whatever Ricky is for
Ricky
the
Starks?
for
No.
his championship? Yeah, Danhausen came out and challenged him. So
Fuck
your
yes.
boy, who knows? I know this is a wrestling talk on a horror podcast, but for any of those of you who have listened to Scott and I, you know that we went and saw AEW together about a month ago out in good old Detroit, Michigan. We're both avid wrestling fans. And Danhausen is one of Scott's favorites, and also it's a hometown boy from Michigan.
Yeah,
So,
I'll say not many people realize that he's from Detroit, but yeah, he started off in Ring of Honor. Like that's where he got really well known and was really good wrestler. Broke his leg in several places during a match. So that's why he's basically been just kind of like the voice of AEW for a while and just doing all sorts of like videos and stuff. And he's finally getting back into wrestling and he's just funny. He's funny and he's entertaining.
He has a really good personality. He's a really good personality.
He's very nice, very evil.
Yeah, and I just think that, I always respect wrestling stars when they're like, I can remember so many years ago wrestling in a parking lot and now I'm wrestling in Little Caesars Arena.
Right.
So few people in any industry make it. It goes for horror movies too, right? So many people we look at we saw some pretty well-known films actually. Scott saw the most recent release from Mr. Peel that we'll talk about in a little bit. But it's the same thing, right? Like you work so hard as an actor or a director, and sometimes you just get that break. Right. And it just really, propels you to a higher level. So Scott has watched one 2022. As people know, we do 2022 watches. I do 2022 watches. Scott's trying.
I tried to watch a second one, but the software failed me.
Yeah, and that happens, right? And really, it has been a little slow. Last week, I couldn't find any 2022s. We have several means in which we watch 2022s, and I could find ones, but I couldn't do it. There were some that just look so, god awful, horrible. And like, I'll watch a Tubi one because we're doing the Tubi Awards this year. So I'll give the Tubi ones a shot. But some of them I just know. And there was one of them that I should have run and hid from, but I watched it anyway because I was so desperate.
Because you're a sucker.
I wanted to have something to talk about because I knew you weren't going to watch that many movies, and I didn't want our 2022 session to be like, and we didn't watch anything, so I did my best, but we pulled together a couple. So, but Scott's been a video game playing machine. That's what he's been up to.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, obviously we do our show every 2 weeks. So the first week, which is usually when I get a lot of my 2022 watches in, because then the, final week, I'll do the main topic movies. That week where I would normally watch 2022s, I was having a rough week dealing with like depression and whatnot. So like I just kind of was watching like comfort shows and just like stuff that was just I could just have on in the background while I just kind of like zoned out and just, relaxed, which, is my way of kind of coping and helping. And then
it's better than you doing below. So,
I did that, but then, it got expensive and I just couldn't afford it anymore.
No kidding. Huh? Well, what's funny is that you just basically are like, horror movies don't help me relax. You're like every anti-horror movie fan that's like, those memes that are like, oh man, I'm so stressed out, I'm going to put on Texas Chainsaw Massacre and help me chill. I feel like horror fans do that to be like, look how edgy I am.
Well, technically, I used to fall asleep to horror movies, so it's like, it is like it just really depends. But yeah, like when you're in a like not great place, is sometimes you don't want something dark.
Well, you do live in Michigan in general. That's not a great place. So,
Right.
that's already hard enough as it is. But yeah, it's fair. And you have also been, you doubled down into gaming, which is so ironic because we
Right.
shut down our gaming podcast and now you've turned to it like your fucking side bitch that's taking the priority is your gaming now.
See, so what's going to
And
happen is now Friday Nightmares is going to go by the wayside, and we're going to bring back controllers up. Just kidding.
no,
Just kidding,
no.
Lance. Just kidding.
Here's the thing. I don't play enough fucking video games for that to work. The goal was for Scott to have rotating guests eventually because I don't play enough games to make that show make sense after a while. But Scott's too busy. He's living his best life now. He's talking to new friends. He's playing video games with his cousin online. He's going to watch horror movies. You watched Thor this week. I'm surprised you didn't put that to talk about.
Well, I was going to say, because, like, for our What's New, we usually kind of make it close to related to horror, and Thor wasn't really related to horror.
Well, that's a horror that you had to pay for it. Is that?
Hey, no, it was. I will say it was a good movie. I had a lot of fun with it, and I was laughing my ass off.
Oh,
I mean, I guess I could have technically, like, in a way, brought it into the What's New segment because it was directed by Taika Waititi, who is the director of What We Do in the Shadows. So, in a sense, I could have, because it kind of revolves around like where the guy started and where he's at now.
Oh, fair enough, right? But no, you went with something else instead, which is definitely more horror adjacent, I would say, than that. But yeah, you've been out doing some fun shit. Did you do something else? I feel like you did something else that was fun as a
I was trying to think about that. I'm like,
yeah, you did though, right? Yeah,
I
could have swore you did.
Oh yes. So wow. Okay. So everything's just been kind of a blur. But yes, I went out to hang out with our good friend Adam Thomas from the Double Edge Double Bill podcast.
That's what it was. Yeah.
It was his birthday, so I went out to his new place out in Armada and freaking got drunk with him and the boys and just had a great time out there and got to hang out with some of his friends that I've met a few times now from going out there before, and then met some new people. And yeah, it was just a great time. Had a blast. It was good seeing Adam again. And I was hungover as shit the next day, but it was funny because it must just show my age because I was not as drunk as I've been before with Adam, but yet I had one of the worst hangovers I've had in a long time.
Right? Oh man, you looked like you had the hashtag your best life last weekend. I took a couple of days off and I spent time with my friends' kids. I went to Wild Waterworks, which is a water park, which was a lot of fun. My friend's daughter Aurora went on the big girl water slides by herself.
Oh, nice.
After I went down first and cut the fuck out of my back because
went down. Yeah, you did.
Oh yeah, well I do that every Saturday, but this was actually on a water slide. But then we went to African Lion Safari, which is like a open concept zoo where you are basically in a bus and the animals are allowed to roam free, but they obviously keep the carnivores separate than the herbivores.
I was just going to say,
reasons, yes, right?
I was just going to say, you went to a safari where you were the animals. Wahahaha.
Right, basically. So anyway, the funny thing is we're going through one of the lion areas and like these female lioness are sitting in like a circle. They're all kind of facing each other. And one's tossing up and down in the air a fucking Canadian goose. It killed the Canadian goose, right? So like my friend's kids are, Liam's 12. So he's all like, oh, fuck yeah, it's cool, right? He's like 12-year-old boy. So he thought it was sick. Aurora's 6, right? So I'm like, I better like make sure she's okay with this. So I turned to her and I'm like, all right, Aurora, like lions are carnivores in the wild. That's what they would do. She looks at me, rolls her eyes and goes, I know, Auntie Heather. Like,
girl's got some sass.
She's like, maybe you have a problem with this, but the rest of us are fine. But yeah, so like the poor tour guide's like, I've actually never seen this happen before. Because the lions had left the meat that was given to them and were choosing to chow down on this goose.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty.
No,
it was pretty.
They
funny.
probably realized goose are the biggest predators out here. We need to take them out.
Right. Well, I think it was a matter that it's like their hunter and killer instinct, right? Like they're, they've been raised in captivity. So even though it's open concept, they do have food brought to them. They don't have to hunt and kill to survive.
Right.
But yeah,
no,
so that
they heard the story. They've heard the stories of how dangerous Canadian geese are.
Yeah,
so
maybe,
like,
maybe, and they're just stepping up, right?
Right.
And right. So, but funny thing is, I'm over at my friend Anne's house last night, and I had my foster dog Charlie, who's up for adoption. My dog
Such a
Mickey,
cutie.
she's all cutie. And Anne's dog. So Anne had gone upstairs to show Amber her new bunnies because she bought 2 new rabbits or adopted them. And I took the dogs outside. So I'm outside and I swear to God, G Scott. So it's dark and it's like quiet, right? And the dog's just being around. And I could have swore I heard someone go, "Hey," in the backyard. And I'm like, I turn around and I'm like, didn't hear anything. And then I hear, "Hey." Like, I'm not fucking around with you. And I'm like, there's no one else outside right now. Either it's a wind chime or something's blowing through something and making what sounds like a word, or there's a motherfucking ghost. So you know what I did, Scott? Do you think I went into the bushes to investigate what that
You
shit
should have.
was? No, I turned my ass around and went back in the house and locked the door and brought the dogs in with me.
No, what you should have done is stopped and go, "Hello, who is
Anybody
it?
here? Hold on. Oh no, my cell phone's dead.
Let
Oh
me go
no."
investigate."
And then when I came back home, I walked up to George's sister's place and she was having a bonfire. So I was having a roadie. I was walking with a drink in my hand up and down Waterdown. And Scott's been to my neighborhood. He knows it's like basically fucking Pleasantville.
It totally is.
Like walking by myself at 11:30 at night and I had to walk by the park. I'm like, because there's been cougar spottings. And no, I'm not talking about out on a Saturday night.
Say that.
But there's been actual cougar spottings. And I was more concerned about running into like the rogue cougar that apparently is running around Hamilton than I was about running into any stranger danger. No, man, I might have given it a good time, depending what the stranger was into. I don't know.
God.
Maybe we could have worked something out.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. And welcome to Friday Nightmares. And a big welcome back to Daniel from the Horror for Dummies, who shat all over Canada on Vancouver.
And he shat all over fucking just America too with the coffee.
Oh, I know. Yeah, but he's not wrong about Tim Hortons. Like, it's pretty shitty coffee. Like, he's 100% right about that. And I didn't know the temperature was that different in Seattle and Vancouver because we're having a fucking heat wave here. Like in Australia, and they use Celsius. Like it's been up to like 35 degrees Celsius some days, 36, which for you I think is almost 90 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, it's been like that around here a lot too.
Like, so I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. It's not hoodie weather here. And if it's hoodie weather for him, how hot is it in Australia? Like, holy shit. Like, if you can wear a hoodie in 36 degrees Celsius, almost 90 degrees Fahrenheit, how fucking warm is it on the Aussie land?
Right.
Honestly, I should talk to my friend David as well and be like, dude, is it really that hot there? Because
I'll say, like,
tell me the truth.
Especially right now, I think I'm gonna guess kind of like midwinter for them right now in Australia.
Yeah, it's winter. So he was like, "Oh, it's like the same temperature. I had to wear my jumper, which is also known as a hoodie, because jumpers are known for children. Was what they wear here as a jumper, Daniel." But like, I was like, "There's no way. Like, how the fuck is Vancouver that much cooler? Like, I know it's out on the Pacific Ocean." Same with Seattle, but I don't know. Maybe, I don't know, because Scott and I aren't getting that cool temperatures at all. It is fucking scorching.
Nope. I've been staying inside the last couple of days because it's a little too hot for my liking unless I'm by the water.
Right? And Scott's already so hot that, like he goes outside and he basically sets himself on fire.
I'll say, what can I say? I am the smoke show.
You are the smoke. And honestly, more pictures. You have the Swedish Chef.
Yes,
like honestly,
Darren, that one.
Everyone should listen to Darren's podcast. It's very, very good. Psychosemantic podcast with Darren Wilson on Legion Podcast Network. And congratulations to all the Patreons, by the way. A bunch of Patreons won stuff from the Legion Podcast Network. So
nice.
A big thank you to Kevin, who's running the network now. I think that's really nice that he did all that. And I think if you're not a member of the Legion Podcast Network, we'll tell you why you should join at the end of the episode. But please consider joining. You want to do it now, don't you?
I was tempted. We'll save it.
Shortest episode of Friday Nightmares ever.
The end.
They didn't talk about any 2022s. They just basically talked about their lives and, just fucking shut it off. So,
and we're out.
So I guess we'll jump to what we've been watching, and I'm going to try to look up this film. Man. Okay, so this was a shark film I saw. I can't even find it on fucking Letterboxd. That tells you how, it's called Blood Bite. I can't even find it when I Google it. It's so challenging to find. Anyway, it is I believe it's Mandarin-based film, and it is about a compound. It's basically like Deep Blue Sea, and they have made like an aquarium with and they've enhanced the shark, so the sharks are able to breed quicker and faster. It's available for purchase at Target, everybody. So if you're
Oh
really
boy.
interested, you could go buy the DVD. And so it took me forever to find it. So an aquarium in need of a new attraction develops a deadlier blood shark. It's smarter, faster, and deadlier. And when the shark turns the table, its creators, they quickly discover who's really in charge. So as you can imagine, this movie is all about people being hunted by sharks for the entire fucking time. So
Exciting.
it's really poorly dubbed. It's obviously originally in Mandarin or Cantonese, and the dubbing is dreadful. The plot line is ridiculous. There's a romantic kind of interlude in this when it looks like they're running away from. There's one part where the aquarium caves in underwater and they're running away from the shark, and it looks literally like it was a sim. You remember Sims, like the computer game you could play? And the
Yeah.
graphics, it looks like that. Like it looks that bad.
Oh God.
Yeah. So I don't know. This is available at Target. I'm sure you can find it somewhere on the net. If you really like shark movies and you feel the need that you need to watch every single shark film, I guess you could watch this one, but the Alicia Silverstone one looked like an Academy Award shark film compared to this one. So strong skip. I was desperate, and in desperate times call for desperate measures. So I suggest watching other things.
Yeah, I think that'll be an avoid for me.
Oh, dude, it is a total avoid. As I said, I was desperate for 2022's, and I put it on, and it was by far probably the worst movie I've seen this year,
Ooh,
which is
that's
saying
not
something
good.
because I've seen some pretty shitty movies. This was up there. But not a shitty movie is Good Madam. So this is a 92-minute runtime in South Africa. Tisida, a single mother, is forced to move in with her own estranged mother, Mavis, a live-in domestic worker caring obsessively for her catatonic white madam. As Desai tries to heal her family, a sinister spectre begins to stir. This is available on the Shuddy, both Shuddy Amazon, Shuddy regular, not children's Shutter, and AMC and Amazon channels.
I love that you call it Shuddy.
The Shuddy. Well,
The Shuddy.
it's called the Shutter, right? But it's called the Shuddy for me because I just short form and nickname everything. This is a great film. If you like things like The Babadook, then you will like this film. A lot of character development, so it is very, very character heavy and dialogue heavy. If you enjoy that piece of it, you will like this film, but you do have to get through the very, very heavy character development. The horror is very subtle, but in my opinion, was a very good payoff. The third act has a scene in it that is quite incredible. It really does ramp up. Fan of the Babadook, you will like this movie.
Nice.
Very similar flavor in terms of the way that it's directed, the way it builds. Very, very, very good. Also, a little bit of what was the other one that came out last year or 2 years ago about it had two different names and it was about a man who collected souls.
Oh,
Was
what
it
was it?
The Soul Collector?
Yeah, I think the generic title was The Soul Collector.
Yeah. A little bit mixed in with that. So it was like the Babadook mixed with the Soul Collector. So I think that if you like those two films, this is definitely worth watching, and you can find it on the Shuddy.
Nice.
And now, what did you watch, Scotty?
Nothing. Nothing of note. No. Obviously, probably a lot of our listeners and a lot of our podcasting friends have also went out and seen it because this weekend was the theatrical release of Jordan Peele's third film, Nope. And wow, so this one's obviously getting mixed reviews, kind of like a lot of Jordan Peele stuff. It does get mixed. His stuff gets mixed reviews, mainly for the wrong reasons. This one I can see.
Oh, you mean I get mad when a movie says I shouldn't be white? Is that
pretty
review?
much, yeah. And most of the stuff that I'm hearing about this film is not that, thankfully. It's just some people find it slow or not horror enough or whatever, like whatever the reason is. So I went into this because I've seen the trailer and I was just going, I'm not sure what to expect from this. I love Jordan Peele and I'm going to see everything he does, but I'm not like super, oh my God, this is going to be the greatest movie ever. I just kind of went into it, with lowered expectations. And it also helped that Brandon from the Exploding Heads podcast talked about how he wouldn't seen it, and he gave it a rating of like a 6.5 out of 10. He's like, it was good, but here's the issues I had with it. So going
Now,
in
he was
knowing that,
really excited though.
yes, exactly.
Like he talked about that movie for weeks.
He did, yeah. And knowing that, I think kind of helped just make sure, like, okay, go in expecting, not the greatest thing from him, but I'm gonna go in and see what I can find or figure out. And I gotta say, I enjoyed this. It's definitely out of the three, it is definitely like on the bottom. Like it's not as good as Us or Get Out to me personally, but I still had a really good time with this. I thought the acting in this was incredible. Daniel Kaluuya was in it and just did an amazing job. Stephen Yeun was incredible in it. But it just had a very interesting story. And for the people that have watched the trailer and haven't seen it yet, well, the trailer does a great job of misleading the hell out of you. And
which I like.
Yeah. You go in expecting it to be one thing and it ends up being like not at all what you expected. And it's a very unique take on this type of subgenre of horror. But yeah, it's got some slow moments, but I wouldn't say it's like unnecessarily slow. Like it's just got a lot of character development and things like that. And it's definitely trying to think of the word. It's definitely not your what you would expect from Jordan Peele, as like heavy on the social commentary, at least as far as I could see. Like there is some in there, but it's not like steeped in it like Us and Get Out was. But it's still, I really did dig it, and this is a movie that needs to be seen in theaters because it is even if you're not like blown away by it by the end, you would have to admit that it was a good spectacle to see on the big screen.
Awesome. And that is only available in theaters right now in both Canada and the United States. It just came out. We're recording this episode on Sunday, July 24th, and I know it just dropped on Thursday of last week.
Yep.
A lot of people have seen it, and I think even there's some directors like Ari Aster, for example, or like trying to think of the other one, the big
Robert
other
Eggers.
director. Yeah, like even their worst movie is still a good movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They're all incredible directors.
Yeah, like they're all quality films. So like even if you don't love the movie, you can still be like, yeah, it's a decent film, right? Yeah. And I think that's the difference, right? Is that they're not going to make shitty films. It's just whether you enjoy it as much as you enjoy the other one. So it'll be interesting. Maybe people who didn't like Us and Get Out will like this one a lot more.
Right, exactly. Like I talked to a few friends who loved Us and really did not like, or loved Get Out and really did not like Us. And they're like, what do you think? Would I like it? I'm going, I think you'll like it either as much as you liked Us or more. It's kind of hard to tell. This is just because it's a different style for Jordan Peele. So I'd be curious about like what some of these people think.
Yeah, and like it's important that he explores other avenues of, writing and directing and stuff. I love that he produced Candyman last year. I really enjoyed Candyman last year. I thought it was a great fucking film.
It was incredible.
Yeah, the acting in it was solid, and it was a really good. And it wasn't a retelling of Candyman. It was continuing the legend.
Yeah,
like it tied right back into the 1992 movie, a political discussion, which was in the 1992 movie.
Wait, are you sure the original Candyman had anything to do with like social commentary
and the projects and like racism? No,
nothing like that. Not at all. I don't know where would you get that, Heather? I know,
crazy. And it was probably 1991. I'm probably fucking up the years. Maybe Candyman was 1991. I can't remember now. Either way, 91, 92. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing Nope. You and Brandon both praised it enough that I know it's going to be a quality film.
Yeah.
Right. And that's really what matters, is that you're walking into something that's good. Speaking of walking into something that's good, Scott knows how much I tease him about A24 films, but I saw the most recent A24 film, Men. This is a 100-minute runtime. The synopsis, I'll just read a little short bit of it. In the aftermath of a personal tragedy, Harper retreats alone to beautiful English countryside, hoping to find a place to heal. But someone or something from the surrounding woods appears to be stalking her. I'll just leave it at that. So this is an A24 film. This is what you expect from A24. A little bit artsy, definitely some political commentary and social commentary, good acting, good directing, excellent fucking filming. Like, God, the filming is so good in this, and so is the editing. Amazing special effects, but it is very much an A24 film. And if you are someone who has watched A24 films, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like if you watched Lamb last year, that is, you know, another prime example of an A24 film. Saint Maud, another prime example of an A24 film. These are the films that they pick up as a company. They're unique, they're different. They're
One of the reasons
usually,
why I love them as much as I do, because they
yeah,
bring these movies to the like forefront.
absolutely. And I think this film here does provide a political commentary that I don't think is down. It doesn't, it's not a heavy hitting angle. If anything, it talks about toxic masculinity and masculinity. Can you help me?
Masculinity.
Thank you. And the effect that it has on men. Like it talks about the damaging thing that it does to them.
Interesting.
Right. So it's very, very well acted, very, very well done. The lead woman, the woman who plays Harper, who is Jessie Buckley, is excellent. All the side characters are great as well. The movie moves along quite quickly. It's a feast for your eyes with some of the special effects that are used and the filming of it and the music, and it's a really good film, but be prepared for a burn. It will feel like an hour and 40 minutes. It will. But it's worth it, in my opinion. You like A24, you generally like the stuff that they create, you will like this film. Definitely a horror film, definitely creepy. The ending is definitely up to interpretation, very typical A24. The ending is definitely up to interpretation. I read a couple of views on the ending, and I would say that they all were pretty relevant. And I think at this point, it will probably be sitting in my top 20.
Nice.
I definitely think it's a high quality film, but yet again, you got to like the things I talked about. Tim Davis gave it 3 stars, who's from the Horror for Dummies, and I don't see anyone else who's a podcaster that's rated it yet. I know Dave C's watched it, so it'll be interesting to hear his thoughts on it from the Exploding Heads podcast. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a really cool film. I thought the special effects were a lot of fun, and so it is available. Is it available here? It is available on Amazon Prime for rent, and also Cineplex for rent, and I don't believe it's in theaters anymore out in the United States. Is it, Scott?
No, I was say usually with A24 films, when they go to theaters, they usually last like just a couple of weeks because obviously, like competing with like big blockbuster movies during the summer, you're gonna get pushed aside real fast.
Well, and unless you're an avid horror fan, generally speaking, you don't know like you know maybe know Saint Maud, but you don't know that that's picked up by A24 and what kind of films they traditionally pick up.
Yeah.
So, you know, but this is definitely, if you like A24, good film. I enjoyed it, recommend it.
Yeah, this is the same director that did Annihilation and Ex Machina too. I can't remember his name right now. Alex Garland, that's his name.
Yeah, and you can tell the similar directing style, to be honest with you.
Nice.
Like you can tell. The final one I'm going to talk about is Crow Valley. This is an Aussie movie.
Oh, shit.
It is a 77-minute runtime. Mountain biker Benny Jones sets off on a weekend ride to remote Crow Valley, but is knocked off his bike in a brutal hit and run. He wakes up badly injured in a abandoned cabin where he meets a young hiker, Greta. When her lies and sanity start to unravel, he finds himself in a desperate fight for survival. This sounds just like a basic stalker film. It is much deeper than that. This is a film about grief, justice, consequences, guilt, untreated depression, and the impact and result that has. This synopsis does not fully explain how heavy this movie actually is.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I spent the first 35 minutes feeling one way about one character, and then you learn something that changes how you feel, but you still kind of sit in this real weird middle ground. And there's a third character that's involved that you have a lot of empathy for. It's actually a really good film. I think this film will get skipped over by a lot of people. I don't know if a lot of people know about it. It is available on Google Play, Microsoft Store, Tubi for free, Hoopla, and YouTube. This is a film that you should watch for free on Tubi.
Nice.
It is, if you enjoy psychological horror, if you enjoy, in my opinion, mental illness done right, if you enjoy the question of what what justifies revenge and what justifies fairness, then I think that you will like this film. A lot of characters, and the guy who wrote it is also the guy who stars in it.
Oh, nice.
So Josh Kahn is the director, the writer, and the main star, and he is actually quite good.
I love when that happens.
Yeah, I think he is someone to watch out for. I think that if this is what he's capable of, I think we'll see more from him. And Scott, I definitely think you should. I don't know if you'll be as high on it as I am, but I think you'll at least enjoy it.
Yeah, I'll definitely give this one a watch because obviously, like, yeah, you are way ahead of me in 2022 watches. So what I've been doing, because I'm like, crap, I know there's a bunch that Heather's recommended to me. So I've been going through our Google documents and looking at our what we watched list and going, oh, yep, I remember talking good about this. I remember talking good. So I've been trying to hit those up whenever I can so I can at least get caught up on the must-watch ones for this year.
Awesome. And I think that this is definitely one that I think you will enjoy. Honestly,
Nice.
I really do. I think that you'll appreciate it. As I said, I don't know if you'll be as high on it as I am. Like right now, it's in my top 10. That's how much I like this film.
Wow. Okay, nice.
But it's because of the topic matter that it discussed for me.
Right.
Like I always find the topic matter of an eye for an eye and that sort of thing interesting. And this does a really good job of that. So that's our 2022 list. Blood Bite you can skip, but if you really want, it's probably in the bargain bin at Target. Or you can find it online if you want to watch.
Hell, Target may pay you to take it.
They may be like, please take this movie. We have too many copies of it. If you like cheesy CGI sharks, then you know what, it's right up your alley. It's fine for that, but it's really not that good of a film. Good Madam's available on Shudder. Nope in the theaters. Men, Amazon Prime or Cineplex Odeon in Canada, and Crow Valley is available for free on Tubi. So I recommend watching at least 4 of those.
Yeah.
One is bad. The other 4 I think we recommend.
Yeah, I'll say it sounds like they're all pretty damn good movies.
They're all decent, and it's all gonna, yet again depend on what you like.
Right.
So for older watches, Scotty, I finally got around to watching The Last Broadcast.
Ah, nice.
Have you seen that?
This one, I think I have. Let me look it up because I think this was kind of like the.
It was before Blair Witch.
Yeah, it was before Blair Witch and was being compared. Like Blair Witch was being compared, or it was being compared to Blair Witch, even though it came out before. Yep. Okay. Yep. And just like Blair Witch, the original, I was not the biggest fan.
Oh, you weren't? Okay.
I mean, I respect it, but it just wasn't for me.
That is fair. So this is an 86-minute runtime. It came out in 1998. Basically, it's a guy doing a documentary about 3 dudes who had like a basic small level cable TV television production these 3 guys went out looking for the Jersey Devil and never returned. So they were killed or whatever happened to them on their journeys. And fuck, is it an interesting film? I really did appreciate, for this being made in 1998, sorry, and seeing the filming style and even what happens at the end of who you find out is responsible for these deaths and what he does. It's a really interesting movie. Like at an 86-minute runtime, I was quite invested. And honestly, I don't know why this doesn't get the push that the Blair Witch Project does.
It's because they actually talked about this in that found footage documentary.
Yeah.
And they were saying, because what happened was this and Blair Witch were both made around the exact same time. The only difference was Blair Witch got recognition by a big name studio that picked it up and was able to release it in theaters, where this got kind of buried. And because of that, I believe didn't get like the wide distribution till after Blair Witch came out. And then they were being called like copycats for copying the Blair Witch formula, even though they were both being made around the same time. So I think it was just kind of like, indie versus large studio, who's gonna win.
And you know what's funny? These movies are nothing alike.
Like they're similar, with the found footage style. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. The plot's completely different.
Yeah.
Like in Blair Witch, they're going out to look for whatever it may be, the witch. Yeah. And this here, he's trying to figure out what happened to the guys who went out and looked for the Jersey Devil.
Yeah.
It's almost like the sequel to Blair Witch.
Right.
Right. So technically the sequel of Blair Witch ripped off the Lost broadcast. Technically.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, it's been a long
Right.
time since I've seen the sequel to Blair Witch, but
right. Well, it's a group of people that go out and look to see what happened to the original three.
okay, yeah, I'll say
right?
it's been a very long time since I've seen that
Right.
sequel.
And I think where the Blair Witch is different, or maybe even better than the last broadcast, is I do think the acting in the Blair Witch Project is more raw and more believable.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed the last broadcast. I thought it was an interesting concept. I thought the ending was pretty cool, pretty dark. And, it's a shame that this got shoved under the carpet, because I think that it's a really good found footage film. And I think that the concept of the mockumentary style of it is really bright. So yeah, anyway, if you haven't had a chance to watch it, it's for free on Tubi if anyone's interested. It's also on Hoopla, Amazon, and Amazon Prime. So give it a watch.
Yeah, I'll say it's definitely worth checking out, especially if you are diving into the found footage genre more.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'll say, like, just because I have not brought anything to the older watches in a long time, I'll just mention that my older watches are basically the entire series of Tales from the Crypt, seasons 1 through 6 so far.
Wow.
And slowly working my way through season 7.
So what's been your favorite, like, top 3 episodes so far?
Oh shit. Well, one of them I had suggested to the Slumber Party Massacre when you guys did that show, and that was Forever Ambergris. I love that. Well, with Steve Buscemi, because that one is just so gross and like body horror and like realistic with what happens in that movie or in that episode.
Yeah.
I also dig. I can't remember the name of it, but it's the one with John Lovitz, and he's a actor that's been trying to like find like a gig and finds this play being of Hamlet. So he goes and tries to sign up for it, and you find out it's the people that are running this are escaped mental patients that have killed all the security guards and are like basically looking for their I forget the character's name, but the skull that Hamlet talks to. They're looking for the perfect skull for that, and that's what John Lovitz becomes basically. And I love these like types. They're just silly. And then there was one with Christopher Reeves and Meatloaf, and about a restaurant that is serving, I think it was squid or octopus, like, and that was all they served. And they're like, "Oh man, we're not making enough money for this." And Meatloaf's the dickhead landlord of the place and saying, "Well, I need rent because you guys aren't making money, and if you guys don't get money, you're getting the fuck out of here." Blah blah blah. Well, he ends up getting killed, and they start selling his meat and making a ton of money off of that, like basically making it a cannibal shop.
Nice. I like it. And it sounds like these are short little episodes, right? They're like, what, 20 minutes in length?
Yeah, about 25 at the most.
That's perfect. And is there any ones that have been horrible?
I wouldn't say, like, there's been some that have been boring or just didn't feel like Tales from the Crypt. There was one, which is a shame, this one, but it was called Yellow, and it had an amazing cast, but it had I think it was Lance Henriksen and Dan Aykroyd in it, and it just was about somebody that's during like a war, a soldier that is basically a chicken and like leaves his own men to die.
Okay, yeah.
And I just found that not to fit the Tales from the Crypt theme for the most part, and just kind of found it kind of boring. But there is one that is notoriously despised, and that is from season 7, which I have not watched it yet. But like when I get to season 7, apparently there's an animated episode that is just universally hated.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I'm curious to see about that one. But so it's been a couple month progress, but I've made it through seasons 1 through 6 so far.
Well, those are older watches, so
yeah.
You should have just brought a Tales of the Crypt episode each time we talk.
I totally should have. I didn't think about that. That would have been a good idea.
You could do that next time.
Yeah.
Instead of blowing your load in one hit, Scotty, you spread
Well,
it out.
Know me, I just kind of do the build up and then release.
Then it's just a release everywhere over everyone's faces. So what's new? Scott and I are going to talk about 2 separate TV series. So I totally doubled down on the series on Prime. It's a couple years old, and it's called I Shouldn't Be Alive. And it's about people who are in like crazy wilderness related survival situations. So there's like a whole bunch of people that get lost in the Australian desert, a bunch of people that get lost like on a boat, or they're skydiving and the plane crashes in the ocean and they have to try to survive living in the ocean. for like 2 days, which is insane when you think about it.
Right.
Um, there was one where like a bunch of guys get stranded on this like rock island in Mexico on a fishing trip and have to survive. There was one guy who was lost at sea for 6 months, and had luckily he had like supplies with him so he could survive. But holy shit. So anyway, I've learned all about going to the Amazon. I have learned all about hypothermia. There are a lot of people who do mountain climbing get into really bad situations.
Oh yeah.
Like I have learned insane amount of shit about probably the Amazon, the Australian desert, the ocean, and mountain climbing in the winter. All of them. And a couple things on the Colorado River, because people go whitewater rafting down that, and shit happens. And honestly, all these people, sometimes obviously most of the people live, but there are, stories being told by the survivors, but not everybody survived. And sometimes they have to watch their friends die, and it's really sad. But like I watch these shows because and part of me is like, this way, if I'm ever in the Amazon,
I know what not to do.
Right, I know how to survive. So like I totally binge watch this shit. Like I love this shit. I love how people are problem solving and what they do to help them get out of the situation that they're in. I love when people are able to think calmly in these really traumatic, rough situations and rise above, which is essence survival horror. These are all real life survival horror films. Like you take that shark movie with Blake Lively, The Shallows, and that's actually happened to some people, right? Not to the extent that the shark stalks you. Right. It's not like that, but they've been out in the ocean and had to deal with sharks coming around and being hungry. And so these are the real life versions of survival films, and it's been fascinating. So if you like that kind of stuff, this is available on Prime. And it's a couple of, I think it's 4 seasons, and it's called I Shouldn't Be Alive.
Yeah, I've been meaning to check this out because you've talked about it a couple different times with me, and
I like it.
I'm curious about stuff like that.
It's interesting, right? And I always find it really admirable when people can think calm and collectively in these situations.
Right. Which, I don't think I could.
Well, you'd be surprised what you can do in the situation when it comes down to it. But it is really, really fascinating. So for anyone who likes survival horror, I consider this to be fairly adjacent. I recommend checking it out.
Hell yeah. So I will talk about what I'm bringing this time. If I'm going to talk about a TV series that just wrapped up its season finale of season 3, and that is Amazon Prime's The Boys. And I'll give a quick synopsis of like the entire show, just because it's easier than me trying to like kind of explain it. So it's a group of vigilantes, the Boys, set out to take down corrupt superheroes who abuse their superpowers. So basically, this is turning all of your Marvel and DC superheroes that you know and love on their heads. You got like a evil Superman, a fucked up sexual offender Aquaman. They got the Flash that's just has like a completely selfish, like there are just these characters that are just like, you recognize who they're supposed to be, like, and this is based off a graphic novel. So this is like just a TV show going, oh, we're going to capitalize on the superhero market. No, this is just, based off a graphic novel, but it's hyper violent. It's sexually depraved in many ways. And this third season just kind of goes, we're going to kind of go balls to the wall with it this time around. And I can't believe I've said this thing 3 different times during this season going, well, I have now seen things I will never be able to unsee again. Like this definitely fits in the fucked up area of the horror genre. Like we got some very like weird, like Ant-Man type character that's like walking through urethra of a man, and just you get to see up close weird shit like that going on.
I remember you told me about this specific scene. You and Brandon talked about it. It sounded very intense.
Oh, it was. You're basically watching it with your jaw on the floor, like, what the fuck did this? What? But I won't get into too much because it's spoilers. But Jensen Ackles from Supernatural, he comes in. He stars in this season as a new Soup, as they call him, Soldier Boy, who is basically a demented Captain America. And It is. He does such a freaking fantastic job. Like it's incredible. His acting is amazing in this, and this season is just balls to the wall. Uh, Gore, like obviously I talk about like gore and a lot of sexual stuff that happens in this, but the story itself was I found to be really fascinating and just like had me hooked from episode 1, where I just wanted to binge watch every single episode as soon as it came out. As soon as it was released, I was watching it. Like I had to. I love this series to death. Like seasons 1, 2, and 3, like you can just eat them up real fast. They are
Nom 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 nom.
Yeah, there's I think total of 25 episodes, about an hour each. So it's a bit of an investment now, but it is absolutely worth your time because it's got a lot of social commentary, political stuff going on as well, and it's just a very unique take, if like especially if you are just burnt out on like the typical superhero stuff that's in theaters and you want something a little more dark. This is definitely up your alley. Just be warned, you will see things. Lots of things.
And you will not forget those things.
Yeah. Like my little brain is a bit scarred by some of these things going, I've seen a lot of shit, but I've never seen that.
Which says something because we've watched a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Right? We've watched a lot of dark fucking films. So if Scott's saying that, it must be intense. I promise by the end of the year, I will watch an episode of The Boys.
Yeah, because I would just be curious because I think like because I know the superhero genre stuff is not your jam, but no. I know like you love political stuff, you love social commentary stuff, and I think you'll dig that over everything else. I think it's
well. That being said, I really liked Brightburn. Like I thought Brightburn was brilliant. So this sounds very similar to Brightburn.
Yeah, I was gonna say I would say like if you like Brightburn, you'd probably like this just with more like social commentary, political stuff involved.
Me like that. Me like commentary. Me like angry. Me like angry me people. Anyway. Awesome. So that's what's new, what we've been checking out. So we're going to take a brief break. We're going to hear from one of our many friends at the Legion Podcast Network. And when we come back, we're going to talk about some Norwegian horror films. So after these messages, we'll be right back.
This'll keep it quiet. Oh, hi there. I didn't see you. You caught me cutting a new show. I'm Bo Ransdell, and I'm one of the many creators you can find on Legion Podcasts. I said quiet! My fellow podcasters and I work hard to bring you the best in horror podcasting, but that comes at a cost. Wouldst thou like to live deliciously? Not that, but also yes. No, what I'm getting at is that there are server costs for good microphones and software for editing, all the things that make our shows, fun to listen to. And you can help. If you're enjoying the shows on legionpodcasts.com or in the Legion Network available on iTunes and Stitcher, just about anywhere you can download a podcast, really, you can help us out and get a little something for your trouble at patreon.com/Legion Podcasts. For just $2 a month, you get a pair of movie commentaries exclusive to Patreon, and for $5, you can also join us for a monthly screening of a movie. All of that available on patreon.com/Legion Podcasts. We appreciate it, and thank you for listening. Now, back to the cutting room.
And welcome back. We are going to talk about Norwegian horror films today. It's interesting because Scotty, I think, had seen 2 of these films, and I had also seen 2 of these films, but only one was one that we had actually seen that we both watched. The other 2 were first-time watches for us. Because I believe you saw, I guess I can spoil them, Troll Hunter and The Trip, and I saw Cold Prey and The Trip.
Yep, I've seen about about half of Troll Hunter.
Okay.
Because I had caught it on cable one day.
Nice. So we're going to be talking, obviously those are the films we're talking about, plus another one I haven't mentioned yet. That was a first time watch for both of us. But we'll start off with our first Norwegian film, and I'll let Scotty bring us in.
All right. So the first one we will be talking about is Cold Prey, released October 13th, 2006. Eric and his girlfriend, Janique, join newly coupled Michael and Ingen and single wisecracker Morton on a snowboarding excursion to a remote mountainous region in Norway. When Morton breaks his leg, however, and requires medical attention, the friends take shelter in an abandoned nearby ski lodge. Little do they know, it also harbors an unseen psychopathic killer. This is basically a slasher at a slasher in the like basically kind of like a ski resort, but not a ski resort type thing.
Yeah, it's like a ski resort, but not really a ski resort because it's been, run down and shit. Okay. I know that you weren't the biggest fan of this,
No.
Scott. And the thing is, it's quite popular. A lot of people do like this movie. It's seen as a great slasher film. It seems to have a lot of people that are fans on it. It has pretty decent ratings on IMDb. And apparently 2017, the WWE studio has required the rights to exclusive English language remake to the franchise.
Really?
So that's interesting. Yeah.
Wow.
So apparently that's going to fucking happen at some point. Yay.
Well, maybe. Vince McMahon's not part of WWE anymore, so.
That's true. I do kind of like how this film starts with the mystery of the young boy who goes missing.
Yes.
But I find that they don't tie into that as well as they could have.
No, I was kind of honestly confused by the end. Was the okay? Yeah, we get into spoilers here. So basically, these guys go out to go ski. They're at the lodge, and the one guy, they're skiing on the mountain. He breaks his leg, and they can't go back to the lodge because they're so far away from it, which didn't really make that much sense to me because I don't think you would ski that far away from the lodge. Yeah, so they go to like this abandoned place, like this abandoned cabin.
Yeah, but it's huge. It's like this huge where this family that the little boy went missing from lived in.
Yeah.
Right.
And then the family was gone from there, obviously.
Right. And it's yeah. So anyway, they basically go there and they get picked off one by one. You got the typical asshole who's kind of being a dick to his new girlfriend. You got the single wisecracking is the best way to describe him. He's like the single good old guy who's in love with the main character. And her boyfriend's fine, but they don't want to get exclusive because she doesn't know if they'll be together forever. The chase scenes in this aren't bad. Like I do enjoy the shower scene where the girlfriend gets attacked. I thought it was suspenseful and well done. And she's being pulled away and she can see them, but she can't get to them in the bar area.
Yes.
I thought that was really well done.
Yeah, 'cause there were a few good moments. Even the kind of asshole boyfriend of that girl, like when he basically abandons the two other people and goes and like says, "Fuck this, I'm out of here." And he jumps out the window and they're just watching him leave and he gets caught in that bear trap.
Yeah, and he gets fucked up by the bear trap.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool. But this movie really is basically set in snow. You're relying on some very typical characters, which yet again is fine.
It's a slasher,
but there's not a lot of blood and there's not a lot of like it moves quick though, and you find out that the mountain man is the kid and he's grown up and he was running away because his parents tried to kill him.
Yeah,
which they do expand on and call Prey 2.
Okay.
But in this one, you just figure out, okay, this kid, and I guess the assumption is maybe the parents either wanted the insurance money for the kid or they didn't want the kid anymore. I do like the part of this movie that does stand out to me is when he piles the bodies on top of each other and he's tossing them over the ravine.
Yes.
I do like that part. I almost feel like he's like collecting them in a specific place. And I like that piece of it.
Yeah, because they're in the middle of they're middle of freezing lands like that, where bodies probably would not easily be found especially if you threw them down like a giant crevice in the middle of like a fucking winter wonderland like that.
Yeah, and it's almost like he's collecting these bodies, which I do find really cool. But I'll be honest, I have the Wikipedia up right now because I can't remember some of the shit that happened because it's just so all I can remember is they drove up, the guy breaks his leg, the kill with the girl from the shower, the bear trap scene, the chase scene where she's trying to get away from the guy and she outsmarts him at the end because she pretends to be dead. Mm-hmm. And she stabs him with the pickaxe. She does a great job. That final scene, she's a great final girl, but the rest of the movie is really quite forgettable.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I don't even remember what happened to her boyfriend. I remember he got captured or something.
You don't see he gets killed outside because
that's right.
Yeah, like so you don't even really see that. Like that's, I think there's standalone scenes in this that make it look good. And I think that ending third act at the cliff between the mountain man and the main chick is the best.
Yeah.
Like honestly, I think that's the highlight of this fucking film. The rest of it, it's like forgettable.
Yeah, like this is just like your average slasher. Like
yeah.
because I have a feeling the sequels are probably a little more violent and probably have a little more blood because that's how it usually goes with like the slashers that are bloodless in the first place. So I have a feeling the sequels might be actually more up my alley, more entertaining. Like, but yeah, I found this just be kind of ho hum. Just was it was there.
And with the mountain man, that he's his parents are burying him alive. I can't remember Cold Prey 2. I did see it. And I wish they had expanded more and done flashbacks of the mountain man. Like maybe you could have seen that he was either violent or his parents needed to get rid of him. And it would have kind of led to the allure. And maybe she could have tried to and maybe she could have found out that information and had like a verbal standoff with him as well. Like, I know what your parents did to you. It was wrong. They shouldn't have done that. Like that to me would have really made the story more memorable.
Yeah, because there really was like you really didn't know the true motive of why all this happened and played out the way it did.
Besides that ending third act, really the rest of this, it's not a bad film. Don't get me wrong, it's easy to watch, but I wouldn't say it's anything that really sticks in your head.
Right.
Right. And Norwegian wise, well, it's really cold. And they're in a lot of snow, and there's no kind of folklore or anything that comes with it. It's just a Norwegian themed slasher.
Yeah, I'd say only 2 of these really kind of dive into like Norwegian like folklore and stuff like that, and 2 just kind of don't, while one of them is a way more entertaining.
Well, why don't we move to the next one, unless you got something else to add for Cold Prey? I don't really have much else to add, to be honest with you.
Yeah, this just was, there's really not much to it, honestly.
Not a bad film. It just wasn't anything that was like super deep to talk about, except for that third act for me.
Yeah, exactly. And now the other one though, this next one though, definitely has more to talk about, I think.
Yes.
And definitely jumps into some Norwegian folklore.
Oh man, yeah.
And that is Troll Hunter, released July 17th, 2011. And was, I think the directorial, I could be wrong, but I think this is the directorial debut of Andre Overdahl, who did Autopsy of Jane Doe and Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
Oh man, sick.
Yeah, so it's really cool to see, like, this is one where I seen like about half of it on cable, and I was going, okay, yeah, this is totally my jam. But the synopsis is, while investigating reports of illegal bear poaching, 3 student filmmakers encounter a man who slays trolls for the Norwegian government. Very simple plot synopsis, but it's a found footage documentary style that you get with us, and that's all you need. Like this
oh fuck yeah.
Like it just kind of builds up, like they see this guy like showing up everywhere that there's these reports of like, poached bears and stuff like that, and other hunters are talking about this guy and saying like, yeah, he just shows up and he's, does his thing and then he's gone. So they're like, we're not sure who he is or what he does, blah, blah, blah. So they actually like start following him and like obviously annoying him because he's like, leave me alone, leave me alone. Well, they end up actually like straight up fucking stalking his ass and following him on like a ferry and like going way out into the wilderness. And well, they encounter him as he's running away from a fucking troll.
Yeah. Like, and now we've seen trolls before. Our last segment, we covered trolls. But this is a different version of what trolls are.
Yeah, this is almost more like what you would see in like the fairy tale stories.
Yes, absolutely. And can we just talk about the fucking special effects in this film?
It's amazing.
Like fucking found footage. This was fucking found footage. And like when I first see the troll, I was like, is this found? How the fuck did they do this? Like, this is a pretty fucking creepy looking troll. Like, talk about using your budget well. Yeah. Fucking using your budget well. This film could write a fucking screenplay on how to do that. Like, it's so good. I love the main character who is basically killing these trolls, and basically the government's like we need you to do this, but we don't want anyone to know you're doing this.
Yeah.
You know, we cover it up with saying that it's bear attacks, but anyone in their right mind knows that these trolls are massive. Like they're huge. They're basically the size of skyscrapers. And
yeah, like they're all different. Like there's all different ones. Like ones that are size of trees, ones that are like a little bit more stout and hide in caves.
Yeah.
But then there's ones that are fucking massive, like you were saying, like skyscrapers.
Huge. And the way and the fact that they can't handle sunlight, and they explain that. They talk about the vitamin D deficiency in the trolls, and that's why sunlight and turning them to stone and shattering the stone, and they kill the trolls that don't stay in the boundaries that they're given. And it's funny because at first the kids are all like, oh, like the film crew's like, this guy's crazy, he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. And then they see and they're like, holy fuck, we got gold here. You know, here's our chance. We have something that we can sell. The government doesn't want to know it exists. We can let people know that it exists.
And I love that the troll hunter even says, like, yep, I am sick and tired of how the government is handling this. So he's like, fuck it, you guys come along. He's like, I want you to spread the word now, because this is on them to figure it out then.
And it's just a really good film. Like, I'm looking on Letterboxd, it's got a 3.4 rating. This is probably one of the best found footage films I've ever seen.
Wow, yeah, that makes me happy to hear, because like, and they do such an amazing job of diving into the Norwegian folklore of these trolls. Like,
yes,
like even the whole, they even do like a nod to like the whole Billy Goat's gruff with the goats on the bridge with the troll underneath that reaches up and grabs them. And
man,
and these trolls, most of the trolls like don't look like, I guess you'd say, your typical scary monster. They look kind of goofy and dopey, but at the same time, they're terrifying. And
it's because they're so big and that they don't understand what's going on. And, and it's interesting. The whole goat scene is very suspenseful. Like all the scenes where you're waiting for the troll to appear is very suspenseful and very well done. And the people, how they film it, the people just look so little compared to these trolls trying to like take them down. It is just awesome. And I love the ending where basically these kids get silenced. Like that's what happens. They get away from the troll and they're going to make it, and then they get silenced. And I thought that was like the best fucking ending ever. I'm like, now no one will know, because even though these kids survived all to this point, the government is not going to let them.
Yep, not going to let them spread the word. And like, but then there's even like, after the credits, you see like a what was it, New Zealand prime minister speaks of trolls or something like that.
Yeah.
Like I love that they play on this, and also I love the whole like I said, they dive deep into the lore, because they even talk about like how if you believe in the Christian faith, they will smell you and hunt you down like trolls will. And like the whole entire time you're like, why are they keep being so aggressive towards us? And you find out it's like, oh, one of us is actually a believes in Christianity, but like has been quiet about it for some reason. So he's like freaking out, like covering himself in the troll odor or like incessantly. And I love the fact that like, these trolls have been kind of like crossing the border and being more aggressive of late, and they're trying to figure out like, why is that? And you find out it's because rabies. One of them had rabies and spread it to the other. Just like something simple like that, I thought was very unique.
It's so scientific. Like they do a really good job of analyzing and providing reasons why trolls could exist in the world. And it takes the folklore from fantasy to reality, with tying into science and tying into ecological development. Like this film, like and it's like, not to shit on Cold Prey, but like something like Cold Prey where you're like, all right, it's a slasher, it's great, whatever. But this film, you really do got to watch it. Like it is 103 minutes and it is worth your time. It is a 2-hour found footage, and it's one of the few found footage films that you can be like, yeah, this deserves to be 2 hours. Yeah, like this makes sense that it's almost a 2-hour film in length, because it's that complex, it's that detailed, and it just makes sense. Like it just makes sense of things. Great movie, really great movie.
And definitely Andre Overdahl deserves like the mainstream praise that he's been getting, and getting like the projects that he's been getting, because for being like one of the first movies he did doing this, and then given the reins to do Autopsy of Jane Doe, which is one of the fucking creepiest ghost movies out there.
Excellent film.
Then fucking to the point where he's doing movies in theaters with scary stories to tell in the dark, and he does an amazing job with that. It's like,
well, and I just checked him out on my Letterboxd. He has a really fucking good movie that's coming out in 2023 about a voyage of a ship. And
really?
Yeah, it's a historical piece too.
Nice.
It looks like it will be a theater watch for sure. So, if you want to see him at the beginning and see why he's got to where he is, and the acting is good, and this is decent too. Like all the characters are believable. For found footage acting, sometimes like goes back and forth, but this was really good. It was a really, really good film. I really recommend that people check it out. Great folklore. I felt like I learned something about different theories of trolls between what we watched before and what we watched today. I really enjoyed that segment of this.
Yeah, I'm glad you did, because I was kind of wondering, like, because I had a feeling you would appreciate the movie, but I wasn't sure if you would really like it or not, because I know you're not like big into like the whole like mythological creature type stuff like I am.
Yeah, I think the next one will reflect that more. But I did enjoy this, and even the next one we're going to talk about, like, for a fucking free watch on Tubi, man. I think that's where I watched it. I don't know where you watched
it. That's where I watched it as well.
Shudder, Amazon. This is a really good fucking film that people should be watching as well. These two films, Troll Hunter and this next one, and the fourth one too, that we're gonna chat about shortly, which is different. The two middle ones that we're kind of sandwiching here are very creature based and folklore based. But yeah, no, I love Troll Hunter. I thought it was great. I'm really glad you suggested it.
That's awesome, because to tell you the truth, Troll Hunter was the main reason I was like, all right, we need to talk about some Norwegian horror films, because Troll Hunter was one of them.
Why. Yeah, it's awesome. Really, really good film.
Great. Well, awesome. Yeah. Well, I guess we can jump into the next one that you were referencing. This was a first time watch for both of us, and that is Thale, released February 17th, 2012. Crime scene cleaners discover an unstoppable legendary creature at a remote cabin. Very simple, once again, very simple plot synopsis, but yeah, that's pretty much what you get. It's these crime scene cleanup crew, as they are going to this place where I think like the bones of an old man were just kind of found scattered around the area. And so, and like, if you don't know, like, after a crime has been like done both by police and all that stuff, they send in a cleanup crew to, remove the carpets, bleach everything, like, do the best they can to remove and get rid of all the blood and gore and viscera and all that stuff. And so they're, cleaning that up. And this guy just happens to find, I believe it was like a secret door that leads to kind of like this basement section of this building.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And while they're down there, he like notices kind of like this almost like milky water in this tub.
Yeah.
And finds a body in there that is still alive. And she's like wearing this like gas mask, and she's this very pretty blonde girl, like completely naked. So you're going, what the fuck's going on? Is this guy like just like tormenting this poor girl hidden in his basement? And then you find out, like, through these tapes that they start listening to, that she was basically kind of like a hybrid of these creatures. I can't remember the name of them, but they were like half women, half cow, like women in the front, kind of part cow in the back, like creatures.
Yeah.
And they would lure men away for sex, kind of like sirens.
Yeah. And like it's Hulders.
Oh, Hulders. Okay.
Hulders. And that if you please them, then you survive. If not, they use you to create babies or something like that. Like it's very much like, it kind of reminds me of a siren.
Yes.
Like, right?
Yeah, and like I think Thale is supposed to be like a hybrid of human and that creature.
Yes.
Because she looks completely different than the ones that you see running around in the woods later on in this movie.
Right. Absolutely.
But like I found this to be very interesting, because like she doesn't speak, like they're trying to figure out like, what's happened, why she's down here, and they start listening to these tapes, and it's kind of unveiling that this doctor, this guy, found her out in the woods and figured it was better to bring her in and kind of domesticate her instead of leave her out in the wild, because the full breeds would have probably killed her, is what he was worried about, is what it sounded like to me on these tapes.
Yeah.
And so he ends up removing her tail, because he thinks that part of, like, 'cause she ends up having, like, she's all human female except for this like cow tail.
Yeah, the cow tail that she has.
And he ends up removing that because he's thinking that like that may stop like the call from the full breed ones out in the wilderness from luring her away and keeping her safe, basically. Yeah. And it kind of goes in a different direction that I didn't expect, which is like what would you say? This like Norwegian government almost shows up to
Oh
like try
yeah.
to eradicate her
Well, yeah,
or
because she's
capture
been
her?
tested on, right? So she's been the subject of medical experiments and shit too, right?
Yeah.
So it's really it's taking basically a mythical creature that these crime guys find. And just another side note, I find it hilarious that the one guy keeps throwing up at every single crime scene.
Right. Well, it sounds like because that
um
wasn't his real job, like he was just filling in for a friend or something
yeah,
like that.
and he kept vomiting all the time, which I thought was absolutely hilarious. I thought the special effects in this were really good. I thought the
Yes.
creature design was really, really good. I thought she looked great, but I also thought the actual creatures that you get a whole lot more of in the third act were fucking awesome.
Yeah, they were
Um,
creepy.
yeah, and I do appreciate that they leave the two guys alive who were trying to help, like who were trying to help her. And they take out they don't fuck around. They take out who they need to take out. It's great.
Yeah, and I was saying like even like the government guys that are like inside sweeping the building trying to find her, like I love when she like just appears out of the water like behind them and just fucking goes nuts and like slaughters them,
Right?
like
Like
showing that she is one that
yeah,
can defend herself.
it's a really good mythology mixed with government. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Stranger Things. I don't know why. Maybe because medical experiments now always make me think of Stranger Things.
I could see that, yeah.
But it's a really good film, and it's on Tubi. Like this is a film that's on Tubi. That yet again, like check it out. Like if you like mythological creatures and you like the whole kind of combining them with the human world, and it's great. You don't get tons of history about the creatures, which is fine.
Yeah, but like
you
you
just know
get
that
like brief little bits in like the audio
yeah,
tapes they play.
but nothing that is like the Troll Hunter where you get
Yeah.
like a full in-depth on trolls, right? But I definitely, it wasn't my favorite film, not because it wasn't great, but I'm not a huge creature feature person, but I did enjoy this. What I know this is more your wheelhouse, Scotty. Where did it sit for you?
Yeah, I'd say this is a tough one because three of these movies I fucking loved. And yeah, Thale is one of them. Like I
Yeah.
really like this was the first time watch and I freaking loved it. This is like, yeah, like you said, right up my alley. I love creature features. I love mythological creatures, especially when they dive into folklore, especially like folklore from another country of a creature I did not know about that made me go and look up these creatures and
Yeah.
like read about them and stuff afterwards. And I love that. Like, and yeah, this was totally my jam. I freaking love this movie. Like, I'd say the three movies that we're talking about, like these two and the next one, are all like high up there for me for different, two of them for about the same reason, one for a completely different reason. But
Yeah, for sure.
like this, yeah, Thale is just fantastic. If you have Tubi, check it out, especially if you are into creature features, because this is a very fascinating one and kind of gave me almost like a little bit of vibes of Splice, if you've seen that one.
Absolutely. That's a really good comparison. Very similar to Splice. And yeah, fucking great movie. Great movie. And $10,000 budget.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that is amazing.
Yeah. Tells you what you can do with a little bit of money, huh? Fun.
Right.
Anyway, well, the final one we're going to talk about, we're going to jump ahead by almost 10 years and to more of a comedy that came out last year on the Netflix.
Yes. So this one is called The Trip, released July 30th, 2021. Eager to end their marriage by murdering each other, a husband and wife head to a remote cabin, but soon find themselves facing an even bigger threat. So, we watched this last year and I just enjoyed the shit out of this film because it just went in such different directions. And like, it's kind of a horror comedy, but it's got some dark moments to it too.
Yeah. The setup of this is great. I love how, so he's a director of like shitty soap operas. And like he's telling everyone that his wife wants to go hiking.
Yeah.
Like they're going up to the cabin and he's telling everyone that she wants to go hiking and that she's telling everyone that he wants to go hunting.
And wants to teach her how to hunt.
And the fucking editing of this, wow. Whoever did the fucking editing of this movie, amazing.
Agreed. Like
perfect.
Like and like I just love the story to this because it's like it's a dark story because like yeah, like you said, he's a just like sad director that's doing soap operas and she's just this like actress that does infomercials and that's all she's ever really been able to do. So they're both just kind of like trying, but they're not really being successful in their lives. And you can see there is a lot of tension between the two of them as they're going to the cabin and like they're constantly fighting and like saying snide remarks to each other. And yeah, then you find out that while he's saying, my wife wants to go hiking, he's planning on killing her and like chopping her up and like sinking her in the waters. And she's also like saying, hey, we're gonna go. My husband wanted to teach me how to hunt, and she's gonna say, oh, it was a hunting accident, and kill her husband out in the woods. And so they both had these plans to kill each other. And while these plans are starting to unfold, they end up coming across these 3 escaped convicts that are hiding in the attic.
And you get a full sub story. Like the first hour is the backstory of the husband, the wife, kind of edited together of what's currently happening, how it got to this point, how they've set it up. They kind of have this cat and mouse of she gets the upper hand and then he gets the upper hand. And then you also have this edited in the middle story where you find out about these 3 convicts that are real like monsters that have been released that are hiding out in their cabin. And when they are revealed and the stuff they plan on doing, like there's a potential rape scene of the main male. And it's hard to watch. The acting of the main dude, he's actually been in a lot of other stuff. Arksel Henny, who plays Lars, fuck, like you believe he's about to be raped. Like and the fear that and the fear he presents, and even some of the shit he says to his wife, because originally he thinks his wife is going to be the one that's sexually assaulted. And like, it's funny, like at one point, not the sexual assault, but he thinks this guy is going to rape her, and then he finds out it's going to rape him. And there's almost this moment of like, oh, we got it wrong. And then it gets real dark. And I really admire this film to go from 1 second you're laughing to the next second you're like, oh, I'm uncomfortable. Like it's literally, it dramatically swings like that.
Yeah, and then it goes from like that to like a almost like revenge, need to get out of the house, and becomes like this violent, like just revenge movie, and like in a dark way brings the husband and wife together.
It really does. And there's so many integrating characters. Like the dad shows up and fucks shit up. And then he gets to die a noble death, right? He doesn't have to die in the old age home.
Yeah, because it even gives like a story to their dad. Like it gives like a backstory to their dad and shit too, like, which is really cool.
All the characters, even the side guy that's going to help kill the wife with the husband, gets a backstory. Everybody gets a backstory. And it's the editing of this film. Like I cannot express how well this film was fucking edited. And how well they put it together. So it just flows so much through this 2 hours that the first time you watch it, you really don't know what the outcome's going to be.
Yeah.
You know,
like it's like, because because I going into this, I like the first time last year, I had no freaking idea what to expect. And when because at first I'm going, okay, this is going to be interesting. And then the convicts show up and I'm going, what the fuck? Okay, this got even more interesting. And then it just got like really dark. I'm going, oh, now I'm uncomfortable. And then it got to like, all right, action, like violent gore, like, wow, this has gone all sorts of different directions. Like, like you said, the editing in this and the directing of this and the acting of this, all of it, amazing. And I will admit, because I watched it at work, so I watched it with the dub, the English dub. And even the English dubbing is not bad. Like they got good voice actors for this.
So the chick that plays in this, she was also in Lamb. She played the main woman in Lamb.
No shit. Okay.
She was also in The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Oh, wow.
Right? So she actually is English speaking. She's done English speaking movies. So has the gentleman that played Lars.
Nice. Okay.
Right. So it's both of them are well-known actors and they just bounced off each other. Awesome. Like it was like this movie, it's on Netflix, people. If you have Netflix and you haven't seen it yet, check this movie out because these are some really, really good actors and really funny plot, well written, interesting, at the end how they sell the rights to their story and who they get to play them. Like,
right.
Was it Joel Osment Haley that's in the last scene? Is that how you say his name? He's the kid from The Sixth Sense.
I can't remember what his. Yeah, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, right? It's so fucking funny. He's in his portrayal. Oh my god, like it's just such a good movie. You got it. I almost don't want to give too much away. Watch this movie. We praised it. It's funny. It's uncomfortable. It's a good story. It's just well written and it's well delivered.
Yeah, like it definitely is like. It's definitely more like a American style of movie because it's not like doesn't really dive into much with like Norwegian like anything really, but just the more or less setting of it.
There is some racial tension that happens in it, which I think is more evident being a Norwegian film.
Yes.
Some stuff that one of the main bad guys says to the woman.
That is right.
Right. And yeah, no, good film. Watch it on Netflix. Check it out. All over these films were fine. Cold Prey was fine. It just wasn't, anything that was overly exciting or to write home about. But the other three definitely made an impact for me.
I 100% agree. Like, yeah,
Right?
and I'm glad that we got to cover this because, yeah, there were some, like, because I've heard of Thale and wanted to check it out for the longest time, and I've also same with Cold Prey. I mean, obviously, Cold Prey disappointed me in that way, but Thale did not. So I'm glad that we got to cover these movies.
Yeah, we're really expanding. Scott and I, we're just movie connoisseurs now, and
we totally are.
we just know so much about movies.
Yeah. Just listen to us talk about them. You can tell we know so much.
We know so much. Right? I like the part in the movie where the fat guy like almost gets bum raped because it's really like suspenseful. Like that's so fun. And Scott's like, I like the creatures because they had a cow tail. Scott and I talking about movies right there.
Pretty much sums it right up.
But that's good because we can relate with everyone else as common person.
Exactly.
With us, right? For our Out of the Dark segment, Scott brought this one up. I'm going to let him lead. What creature do you want to see more of moving forward in horror films?
Yeah, so this kind of was inspired by, like, obviously Troll Hunter and Thale with, like, the mythological creatures, like, of, like, either things that are just written in, like, medieval stories or, like, true, like, folklore, which most of these, stem from folklore from one country or another. Like, obviously, like, Bigfoot's had a billion freaking movies made about him. And, there's, like, stuff like the Jersey Devil, like you were talking about with the last broadcast, and there's all sorts of them. Like, and obviously I didn't really do a ton of research to see if any, like, independent films have covered any of the ones that I wanted to bring to the topic, but I found some interesting ones. One I actually knew about from a book I used to read, because I brought up the book on in our what we were listening to segment back in the day, and it was from the Monster Hunters International books, and it was a Russian mythological creature. Let me pull up because I gotta make sure I read the name correctly. It is Vodyanoi, and it is I'm gonna bring up, like, a brief description of this thing. So a Vodyanoi is, in Slavic mythology, the water spirit. The Vodyanoi is essentially an evil and vindictive spirit whose favorite sport is drowning humans. Anyone bathing after sunset on a holy day or without having first made the sign of the cross risks being sucked into the water by the Vodyanoi. And the images of him basically show him as, like, an old man body with, like, frog-like features and has, like, scales, like fish-like scales on his body, and he's slimy and, like, kind of lives in, like, swampy land areas.
So do you remember the movie we saw, I think it was 2 years ago, about, like, it was called Siren, and it was about the woman who lived in the water, and she could never fully leave the water. She always had to have her toe or hand or something in the water. Mm-hmm. And she would drown people.
Yeah.
And she goes to drown the one guy, but then she doesn't drown him. But she has this, like, compulsion to drown and kill people. Mm-hmm. Is that kind of similar?
No, because that plays off the Siren mythology more.
Oh, okay.
Because they would lure men out into the waters and then drown them.
Okay.
But no, the Vodyanoi is more just, like, obviously, like, I mean, it probably kind of sort of stems from the same thing in a bit, obviously, but just probably from a different country. Because I know, like, it's like a Slavic country, like, so, like, but yeah, this is, like, one of their mythologies. Like, it's like they look like frogmen, these things do.
Okay.
Yeah, like, they have, like, the flat heads with the big old eyes and, like, the frog tongues, and they have kind of, like, long claws on their hands, and they have, like, the webbed feet. Like, they have, like, they're very frog-like and old man-like mixed together. It is interesting. So I was like, and that one was actually brought up in one of the Monster Hunter International books as one of the creatures they hunted. So I was like, Vodyanoi, what the hell is this? I want to kind of look into it. And I looked into it. I'm going, oh shit. Okay. So yep. Even the author is going back with some, like, old folklore of these creatures. So I read into it. I'm going, this would make an interesting movie.
That would make an interesting movie. And I know you like that type of creature feature. You like the mythological creatures that come to life. Like, you like Alien, for example. You like The Thing. You like Troll Hunter. You've always been a big fan. Like, and the fairy one that we saw, the Irish one, I think you enjoyed that as well, right? The fairies were really cool in that, actually. They were very scary. It's interesting because when I think creature features, I like actual animals.
Right.
Like, I'm really pumped for the new creature feature movie, The Beast, about the killer lion that hunts down the people that get stranded in the Jeep. And I love The Ghost in the Darkness.
I was just gonna say, because that's what that trailer reminded me of.
But I also like it when the animal wins. Always. Like, I very much, Jaws is not my favorite all-time movie. Sorry, Tim Davis, but I get sad when Jaws is killed. Like, I am always cheering for the animal. Orca, I was cheering for the whale. Any creature feature, I tend to cheer for the animal because I feel like humans have fucked shit up for the animal and it's just getting its revenge. But I don't like how sometimes I always have a soft spot, for example, for anaconda, but anacondas don't actually move like that.
No.
They're actually super slow. And they're also like kind of lazy. They don't react like they do in the movie.
Well, I was saying, and it's a snake, and snakes are known for eating once every month.
Right? Like, they're not just hunting for sport and circling around a ladder, but it's a movie, right? And you need to have that kind of sensationalism. But that's my go-to is I love creature features with actual animals.
Yeah,
I think that shit is cool.
And I enjoy the shit out of those as well because I love when nature attacks films.
Like, I loved Crawl. When Crawl came out, she goes back to the house and the alligators I think it's crocodiles, or is it alligators? I can't remember what it is. But they're fucking in there and she's trying to get her dad out and fuck, is it good? Like, I love that shit. I could watch any creature feature any day. It doesn't matter. It could be the exact same plot line of they could do Crawl and it could be it's a Bait, the Australian one with the sharks in the grocery store. I ate up that shit. I thought that shit was great. But I don't like it when animals are necessarily modified. I liked it when they're just in their natural environment. So
right.
I did look up a 10 underrated creature feature movies. So let's see if you've seen any of them.
All right.
Did you ever see The Edge with Anthony Hopkins and Alex Baldwin?
Do not think so.
So after a plane crash, a wealthy older man is stranded in the Alaskan wilderness with a fashion photographer who he's convinced is having an affair with his wife. As if it isn't bad enough, they're also being hunted down by a gigantic Kodiak bear that was paid by Bart the Bear, who was a very famous bear actor. I saw this movie. Actually, I haven't watched it in years. It was a really good survival bear film, and I would recommend it if you haven't had a chance to watch it, if you like creature features. Number 9 is The Lost World Jurassic Park.
Yep.
I think that's the 2 T-Rexes that are looking for their baby, and when they knock the RV over and people fall to the back and the glass is breaking and they have to get the camera down to her to get her to you know which one scene I'm talking about, right?
It's been a long time.
Okay.
It's I haven't seen that probably since a few years after it came out in theaters.
All right. Well, everyone else knows what I'm talking about, and they all love it, except for you. Number 8, The Relic. We saw The Relic, didn't we? We watched it.
I don't know if you have, but this one I actually seen in theaters and then watched it at home a lot, and I read the book. But it's about this. I think The Relic you're thinking of is about the woman with Alzheimer's or whatever.
No, I'm thinking of the creature feature one. I just
can't remember if I
watched it or
museum?
Not. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's that. Because I love that. It's a underrated creature feature from the 90s.
Oh yeah, that's what they're saying, that it's underrated. And doesn't it deal? No, that's Mimic. Mimic is the one that can mimic other things. That's a creature feature, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe I'm messing the two of them up in my head. Number 7 is Lake Placid. Bless you. Are you okay? Oh, he's sneezing away. Anyway, number 7 is Lake Placid. I think a lot of people love Lake Placid because, oh my gosh, now I can't remember her name. Betty White's in it.
Yeah, Betty White.
And
says "fuck you" or something like that to somebody, and you're like, "Oh shit, it's Betty White being mouthy."
And I thought the special effects of Lake Placid were pretty good. I could watch these movies no matter when they're on. Honestly, I could watch Lake Placid and Jaws over and over again. It never bores me. It's one of the few things I can watch over and over again. There's another one from 1977, and it's a story by H.G. Wells. I've never heard of this one, Empire of the Ants.
Ooh, this is one that I've always wanted to see, actually.
So it's the concept is, or the plot summary is, a shady real estate saleswoman takes a group of would-be suckers out to an island to sell them the quote-unquote beachfront property, which is essentially worthless, only to find out that the land is overrun with giant man-eating ants. That sounds really... I'll have to try to find this somewhere.
Yeah, I'll say, I bet one of our friends on Plex has it.
I bet they do. Yeah, we should totally check that out. Oh man, number 5 is a werewolf movie that is near and dear to my heart. Howl. That's the one on the train where the train crashes. Fuck, that's a good werewolf movie.
That one's fun.
That's really... And did you know it was a British indie film? I knew it was British, but I know it's considered indie.
Yeah, I figured it was indie because like I had like it's not one that was like really well known, so I kind of assumed it was indie.
Oh man, it's a fucking great film. I'm glad that it got a number 5 on here. Number 4 is The Mist.
Oh,
excellent
yeah.
feature. Excellent. Talk about a jerker film. We brought that up many a times on this show. What a sad fucking...
Oh, that ending just punches you in the gut.
It really does. All right, let's number 3 here. Deep Rising.
Nice. Yeah, not okay. So at first I was thinking Deep Blue Sea, but or whatever.
A giant sea creatures have made quick work of everyone on board.
Yes. Okay. So yeah, this is like the weird, like alien, like creature that attacks this like cruise ship.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking that one is. I've seen that in years.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah, I don't remember it at all.
I remember really liking it.
Yeah, I probably did when it came out. It came out in the 90s. Number 2, Congo. Congo,
nice.
You are the endangered species.
Amy,
I remember that tagline.
Amy likes you.
Right? And then like the fucking I guess gorilla hybrids in this movie were fucking crazy.
And creepy. Very
creepy.
Man,
like that was I forgot Tim Curry was in this movie.
Yep, same with Sigourney Weaver, I believe.
No, Laura Linney and Ernie Hudson.
Oh, okay. Yeah. For some reason I was thinking, Sigourney Weaver, but
Man, that was a good fucking movie. I remember that one. I really dug that. And number 1 here is Host. 2006 Host.
Yeah, the Korean one that I still need to see that.
Yeah. So those are considered the top 10 creature features that are underrated. And there's one more list here I want to just pull up quickly. And it's, the top 47. And you're looking at the usual stuff like Cujo's on here, Jaws is on here, The Birds, 1963 are on here. You're not seeing a lot of like Pet Cemetery, that's true, Arachnophobia, Blackwater, which we did see. We watched Blackwater with
our Aussie buddies.
Yeah, another crocodile film. So not a lot of like Gremlins is on here, technically considered a creature feature, I guess. It is. The Reef, which is a shark one. Creature from the Black Lagoon. People are probably yelling at us for not bringing that one up yet. The Gray, which is about, trying to survive in the wilderness against, wolves. Dark Tide. I don't think I've ever seen that. Halle Berry's in it, and she goes shark diving. I don't think I've ever remembered that one. And of course, every single remake of the Piranha movies that ever existed. Rogue, another really great movie. Willard, both the 1971 and 2003 version. Yeah, like most of these though aren't really, I don't see anything that's really fantasy creatures. Like there's actually The Breed is on here too, which are the killer dogs.
Right.
Like, I don't know, I'm not seeing the same kind of stuff that you like. You like a lot more. The Descent's on here as well, which is, the cave creatures, which I did dig those.
Yeah.
I like those.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think, maybe it's like just like cryptid horror films or something like that, or like I don't know if they would be, I'm wondering if they're not considered creature features, because
I
don't know, like I think the internet, like, because I always picture like real life animal stuff, not creature features. I consider those nature attacks movies or nature run amok movies.
Well, it's interesting because this list, now that I read down it is definitely blending the line a lot more. Like Them is on here, Feast is on here.
Oh, okay, yep, there we go.
Right, Night of the Lupus. Remember we watched that one with the rabbits?
That was a lot of fun.
It's actually really cute. That one was really adorable. Black Sheep, Razorback, Crawl, which we already talked about already. There's a lot of really good creature features, and I do like I did enjoy Congo, where the animals were enhanced by humans and then came back and fought back. And I don't know, maybe it'd be interesting to see a mythical one with unicorns, but unicorns being evil.
Yeah.
Because I thought the myth of unicorns is they weren't always kind and gentle. Like, weren't they supposed to be vicious?
I think there are some stories of it. I like most stories I know them to be just very elusive and hard to like just capture. But I mean, we kind of get a little tease of that in Cabin in the Woods, because there is a unicorn that kills somebody when all the creatures get released.
That is true. That's what I was kind of thinking of, right? Is it'd be interesting to see that a little bit more. I do also. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was like, what were you going to say? Because I got one more I was going to bring up.
No, bring it up. Bring it up.
Okay. So there's one that, because I when I brought this up, I was like, I'm going to do a little research and see what other like mythological or folklore type creatures there are. This one caught my eye just by the name, the Mongolian deathworm.
The Mongolian deathworm. So what does the deathworm do?
It is a creature allegedly to exist in the Gobi Desert. The creature first came to Western attention as the result of Roy Chapman Andrews' 1926 book on the Trail of Ancient Man. Let's see, trying to find like description of this thing. Let's see, describe secondhand tales of monster that tear it together. Appearance. It is. So one of the descriptions of it is shaped like a sausage about 2 feet long, has no head nor leg, and is so poisonous that merely to touch it means instant death. It lives in the most desolate parts of the Gobi Desert. It's like some of the drawings and stuff I'm looking at here almost make it look like a blood red, gross, like oversized earthworm.
That's pretty fucking cool.
Right. And I'm like, that would be kind of a fucked up horror film. Seeing something like have a bunch of those that like attack, kind of like Tremors in a way.
It would be. You know what? I want to see a good lake monster movie, like a good version of the Loch Ness Monster.
Yes.
That would be nice. Not something that's cheesy, not like a really good, well-made version of the legend of a Loch Ness Monster, or Ogopogo that's up here in Alberta, the legend of that. I would love to see something like that.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
That would be really fucking awesome. And I enjoy Bigfoot movies too. I'll be honest. I like those too. I find them a lot of fun.
That would also, I'd like to see more like Wendigo style movies.
Yeah, the Wendigo stuff is really cool too. Man. Yeah, like, well, let's see. Hopefully someone make a good Loch Ness Monster movie and make some movie about the blood worms that Scott talked about, the evil frogman, and I want to see more animals fucking shit up. So
yes,
that's what we would like to see at Friday Nightmares. And we all know that whatever Scott and I want happens for sure.
and just because you brought up good old Nessie. Goddamn Loch Ness Monster! I just gave you $350 yesterday. Why are you back here again?
$350. So yeah, check out Beast. Beast is coming out this summer, everybody. It looks like a pretty good movie. So if you're into creature features, that's the next big one that's coming out the theaters. So
surprisingly, it's our big name star, Idris Elba.
I know, right? And
that caught my attention. Like, well, holy shit.
Right? Well, but they probably just had a budget to pay him. But hey, that's okay.
Right. I'll say he's a great actor, so.
Yeah, right? So that concludes our 60-second episode of the Friday Nightmares podcast. As always, thank you for listening and being here with us. We appreciate you listening and I don't know, caring about what Scott and I have to say, or not caring about what Scott and I have to say. At the end of the day, it's all good in the hood. If you're not a member yet, or you're not subscribed yet, please subscribe to Legion Patreons on any of the podcasting services that you use. We're on Spotify, iTunes, Google Music, anywhere that you basically find podcasts. We talked about Legion Patreon earlier. People have won streaming codes for free through Legion Patreon. There's also special shows you can access. It's a $3 a month commitment. So if you want to win streaming codes, if you want to listen to different shows where one day Scott will be available and will actually, I don't know, go back to doing Patreon shows, Scott has one thing to ask you.
What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for?
So don't wait any longer. Enjoy Legion Patreon today. Anything else? We are many. Is there anything you wanted to add, Scotty?
If a Loch Ness Monster shows up dressed up as a Girl Scout asking for $350, don't give it to her, because that goddamn Loch Ness Monster won't leave you alone. So until next time, kiddies, unpleasant dreams.
See ya.